A candy bar melted in someone's pocket, and the world would never be the same. What sounds like a minor inconvenience, a forgettable moment in an ordinary day, became the spark that ignited a revolution in every kitchen across the globe. This is the story of how distraction, curiosity, and a destroyed piece of chocolate created an industry worth billions and changed the way humanity prepares food forever. It's 1945. The world has just emerged from the most devastating conflict in human history. Cities lie in ruins. Economies struggle to rebuild. But in the laboratories and factories of America, a different kind of war is ending, one fought with science and innovation. The military-industrial complex that had mobilized to defeat fascism now searches for peacetime applications. Engineers who spent years developing weapons of destruction wonder what their technologies might create instead. At the Raytheon Company in Massachusetts, one of these engineers walks through a laboratory corridor, completely unaware that he's about to stumble into history. His name is Percy Spencer. Born in 1894 in Howland, Maine, Spencer never finished grammar school. His father died when he was 18 months old. His mother abandoned him soon after. Raised by an aunt and uncle in poverty, so deep it defined his childhood, Spencer taught himself everything. No formal education, no university degrees, just raw curiosity and a mind that never stopped questioning how things worked. At age 12, he got a job at a spool mill. At 14, he heard about the newly installed electricity at a nearby paper mill and talked his way into a job learning about this mysterious force. By 16, he joined the U.S. Navy and learned wireless telegraphy. Self-taught, self-made, self-sufficient, Spencer became one of the world's leading experts in radar tube design during World War II. Radar, that invisible technology that could see through darkness and detect enemy planes miles away, relied on devices called magnetrons. These magnetrons generated microwaves, electromagnetic waves that could bounce off objects and return as echoes, painting pictures of what lay beyond visual range. Spencer didn't just understand magnetrons. He designed improvements that made radar production faster and more efficient. His innovations helped the Allies win the war. By 1945, he held over 120 patents. But his greatest discovery, the one that would eclipse all others, happened entirely by accident. Picture the scene. A laboratory at Raytheon, 1945. Fluorescent lights hum overhead. The smell of hot electronics and solder fills the air. Spencer stands near an active magnetron, testing its output, checking its performance. Standard procedure. Another day of work. He reaches into his pocket for a snack, that chocolate bar he'd placed there earlier. His fingers touch something unexpected. Not a solid bar. Something soft, warm, liquid. He pulls out his hand and stares at the melted chocolate coating his fingers. The candy bar has completely liquefied inside his pocket. Most people would have cursed their luck, thrown away the ruined candy, maybe wondered briefly why it melted. Spencer's mind worked differently. He didn't see a ruined snack. He saw a question that demanded an answer. The laboratory wasn't particularly warm. His body heat alone couldn't have melted chocolate that thoroughly, that quickly. But he was standing next to an operating magnetron. Could the microwaves have done this? The scientific method kicked in immediately. Correlation isn't causation. He needed to test it. The next day, Spencer brought popcorn kernels to the laboratory. Not a bag of popcorn. Raw kernels. He placed them near the magnetron and switched it on. Nothing happened at first. Then one kernel moved. Another jumped. Suddenly they were all exploding, popping rapidly, flying in every direction across the laboratory. Spencer watched with growing excitement. The microwaves were definitely heating food. But he needed more data, more tests. Popcorn was one thing. What about something denser? Something with more water content? He brought an egg the following day. A whole raw egg, shell intact. He cut a hole in the side of a kettle and placed the egg inside, then positioned it next to the magnetron. He called over a colleague to witness the experiment. Both men leaned in to observe. The magnetron hummed. The egg sat there, seemingly unchanged. Then, without warning, it exploded. Hot yolk splattered everywhere. Spencer's colleague took the worst of it, egg covering his face. But Spencer was laughing, not at his colleague's misfortune, at the implications. The microwaves were heating the inside of the egg faster than the outside. The pressure had built until the shell couldn't contain it. This was controllable, rapid, internal heating. This was something new. Spencer immediately understood what he'd discovered. For thousands of years, humans had cooked food using external heat sources. Fire, hot metal, boiling water. Heat always moved from outside to inside, slowly conducting through the food. But microwaves worked differently. They excited water molecules throughout the food simultaneously. The food cooked from the inside out, or more accurately, throughout its entire mass at once. This wasn't just faster. It was fundamentally different, revolutionary. Within weeks, Spencer had built a metal box to contain the microwaves and concentrate their effect. He cut a hole for the magnetron to feed energy inside. He placed food in the box and measured temperatures, timing everything, documenting results. The food heated incredibly fast. No flame, no hot coils, just invisible waves that made molecules vibrate so rapidly they generated heat through friction. By late 1945, Spencer filed a patent for what he called a microwave cooking oven. Raytheon immediately recognized the potential. This could be worth millions, maybe more. The first commercial microwave oven, called the Radarange, appeared in 1947. It stood nearly 6 feet tall. It weighed 750 pounds. It cost $5,000, the equivalent of over $60,000 today. And it required water cooling because the magnetron generated so much heat. Restaurants bought them. Ship galleys installed them. Industrial kitchens tested them. But ordinary homes? Impossible. Too big. Too expensive. Too complicated. The technology worked, but it wasn't ready for the world Spencer had envisioned. Years passed. The technology slowly improved. Engineers made magnetrons smaller, more efficient, air-cooled. They reduced power requirements. They simplified controls. In 1955, Tappan introduced the first home model. Still expensive at $1,200. Still large, taking up significant counter space. Still marketed to the wealthy. Sales were modest. The microwave oven remained a curiosity, a luxury item that most Americans viewed with suspicion. Why would anyone need to cook food that fast? What was wrong with conventional ovens? Some worried the invisible waves might be dangerous. Others simply didn't understand the point. The breakthrough came in 1967. Amana, a company Raytheon had acquired, introduced the first countertop microwave oven priced under $500. Suddenly, the technology was accessible, compact, affordable enough for middle-class families. Sales exploded. By 1975, microwave ovens outsold gas ranges in America. By 1986, more than 50% of American households owned one. Today, that number exceeds 90%. Globally, hundreds of millions of microwave ovens sit in kitchens, offices, dormitories, anywhere people need to heat food quickly. The numbers tell a staggering story. The global microwave oven market is worth over $13 billion annually. Over 70 million units are sold every year. Americans use microwave ovens an average of 120 times per month. That's 4 times per day. The frozen food industry, now worth over $300 billion globally, exists largely because of microwave technology. Entire categories of products were invented specifically for microwave preparation. Microwave popcorn alone generates billions in annual revenue. The convenience food revolution, the transformation of eating habits across the developed world, traces directly back to Spencer's melted chocolate bar. But the story goes deeper than kitchen convenience. Microwave technology fundamentally changed food production, distribution, and consumption patterns. Before microwaves, reheating leftovers meant using an oven or stovetop, processes that took time and attention. Most people simply ate cold leftovers or threw food away. Food waste was higher. Meal planning required more thought. The microwave made it possible to cook once and eat multiple times, reheating portions in minutes. This changed how families organized meals, how single people fed themselves, how workplaces handled lunch breaks. The restaurant industry transformed. Fast food establishments added drive-through windows because they could keep pre-cooked items hot and ready, reheating them in seconds. Convenience stores became food destinations, offering hot meals prepared in minutes. Hospital cafeterias, school lunch programs, workplace break rooms, all reorganized around microwave availability. The technology didn't just change kitchens. It restructured the entire food service ecosystem. Consider the ripple effects. Women entering the workforce in unprecedented numbers during the 1970s and 1980s had less time for traditional meal preparation. Microwave ovens offered a solution. Working mothers could provide hot meals for their families without spending hours cooking. This wasn't the only factor enabling women's economic participation, but it removed one more barrier. The feminist revolution and the microwave revolution happened simultaneously, not coincidentally. Technology that saved time in the kitchen gave women more time for everything else. Percy Spencer never saw most of this transformation. He died in 1970, just as microwave ovens were beginning their march into every American home. He received numerous accolades during his life. Raytheon made him a senior vice president, remarkable for someone without formal education. He earned over 300 patents total. But his legacy isn't measured in patents or positions. It's measured in the billions of people whose daily lives were altered by his curiosity about a melted chocolate bar. Think about that. A man reaches into his pocket, finds melted chocolate. Most people would have moved on. But Spencer asked why. He investigated. He experimented. He recognized that an inconvenience might be an opportunity. His willingness to pause, to question, to test his hypothesis, created an entire industry. This is how the world actually changes. Not through grand planned innovations, through small observations that curious minds refuse to ignore. The microwave oven story teaches us something profound about innovation. The most transformative inventions often come from unexpected places, from accidents, from side effects, from asking questions about phenomena that others dismiss as irrelevant. Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin because he noticed mold-killing bacteria in a contaminated petri dish. Charles Goodyear invented vulcanized rubber after accidentally dropping rubber mixed with sulfur onto a hot stove. Innovation doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it melts in your pocket and waits to see if you're paying attention. Every time you press those buttons to reheat your coffee, warm up leftovers, or pop popcorn for movie night, you're participating in a revolution that started with one man's ruined snack. Somewhere in Massachusetts in 1945, Percy Spencer could have thrown away that chocolate bar and continued with his work. Instead, he stopped. He wondered. He tested. And he changed the world. That's the power of curiosity. That's the leverage of small moments. That's how a distracted worker accidentally built a multi-billion-dollar industry. The next time something unexpected happens in your life, the next time something breaks, or melts, or doesn't work the way you thought it would, pay attention. Ask why. Investigate. You might be standing at the edge of something revolutionary. Or you might just have a melted chocolate bar. But you'll never know unless you're willing to stop and wonder. If you enjoyed this story of how tiny causes create massive consequences, hit that like button and subscribe for more histories that changed everything. Because the world is full of melted chocolate bars. The question is whether anyone's curious enough to figure out why.